Erica. Good morning.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so glad to see everybody on the call this morning. I do have a few announcements. I know I have sent multiple emails about this, but just another reminder, if your community has not completely submitted their MOU and gotten all of their signatures in there, make sure that you're getting your folks signed. Everybody should be getting reminder emails from Adobe Sign. They may be going to your spam folder. If they are, just remind it's your authorized city representative. So whoever you told me that was on your salary survey, your manager survey that we do at the end of the year, your board chair, and then we'll sign it. And as soon as that gets submitted to us, I will download it, and then I will put it in everyone's Dropbox folder. So you don't have to worry about that part. That's just a checkbox for your assessment. There is another Adobe Sign, DocuSign thing out there from Main Street America, and that's going to be your licensing agreement. So if y'all have not signed that, please get that signed as well. It's going to whoever is the contact for your membership. If that is not signed and submitted to Main Street America, I am not allowed to give y'all their logos and branding. So your accredited little logo that you get, this is 2026 accredited. So make sure that y'all are getting that signed as well so that I can go ahead and get those put into your Dropbox folders too. As soon as I get all that stuff signed and sealed and delivered, I will get all that stuff into your Dropbox. You can start using it ASAP. And for all of our new managers that are on the call this morning, so new managers, we're considering 3 years or less in the job. Just a reminder that we are hosting Launchpad calls every fourth Monday of the month. Anybody is welcome to jump on. If you're not getting those reminder emails, just shoot me a quick email or something. I'll get you on that list. Everybody should be getting one, and I will send out a reminder this afternoon for that. So it's Monday at 10 a.m., I believe, that we will be hosting Launchpad next week. So I look forward to seeing all of our newbies on the call on Monday. And that's all, I think.
Thanks, Ellen. And speaking of the fact that we have a lot of newbies, I think we figured out yesterday that 51% of our Main Street managers are new. In case you guys don't know, DCA has regional reps around the state, and several of them are on the call right now, and I want y'all to be familiar with them. Corin, would you just give a brief description of the regional reps and how folks can get to know y'all and when they should call on y'all?
Sure. So I'm Corin Thornton. I'm the director of the Office of Regional Services at DCA. And what Cherie is referencing is 25 plus years ago, the state was carved up into state service delivery regions. They're the same boundaries as your regional commission boundaries. And so we have one staff person in each of those regions. And our role is to kind of be like that primary point of contact for the agency. So anything across what DCA does, our team is here to help you connect to those resources. And so I know about, I think 3 or 4 of our reps are on here, so I'll have them introduce themselves in just a minute. But primarily, we are happy to work with our downtown organizations on a variety of topics. We do spend a lot of time working with the Downtown Development Revolving Loan Program. And so you may, if you have property owners that are interested in applying for that tool, you will reach out to us, kind of get that ball rolling. And so, but if you ever have any questions about kind of DCA programs and services, how to connect, we are here to help you with that, whether it's downtown related or kind of across our housing or other economic development programs. We also provide staff support to the Georgia Academy for Economic Development, which is a statewide economic development training program. It's not specific to downtown development, but it is a great opportunity to learn more about economic development as a broader topic. And who knows, in the future, we may see some modules relating to downtown development being evolved. And I think you guys, if you participate in the Georgia Academy, you can get some credit towards your training requirements. And I know that but that is something that's very important. So I mentioned that I'm the office director. I also cover the 10 counties in West Georgia that we call Region 4. And so if you happen to be, I think I see Colleen on here. She's one of mine now. I see Abigail. I can't see everyone, but you know, you can reach out to me, and I'm going to turn it over. I did see Kathy Papa, so I'll let Kathy introduce herself, and then the other reps can go in numerical order.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kathy Papa. I'm the Region 2 rep for DCA. So I cover the Georgia Mountains region. It's a 13 county area. So I do see a few Main Street managers from my region. So thanks for being on.
Heather, you want to go next?
Sure. Good morning. I'm Heather Sharp. I'm the Region 10 representative, which is Southwest Georgia.
Good morning. I'm Tanya Mole, and I cover Region 6, which is Georgia.
That might be it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I'll go
Any-
ahead and I'll drop our regional contacts in the chat. So if you don't know your regional rep, you'll have the information to reach out to.
Thank you, Corin. Appreciate it. Appreciate all y'all do.
In a meeting.
All right. And then we'd love a report from the Georgia Downtown Association. I saw Jason's on. Jason, you want to do that for us?
Yeah, hey everybody. Sorry I'm not on camera, but I hope you're all doing well. A couple of things, of course, conference is coming up. That's the week of August 17th. We've added on the Thursday additional CDP classes. So be on the lookout for that. They're actually posted on our website. The two classes you can take are strategic and master planning and business development on that Thursday. Of course, Monday there's a couple of options as well as through Georgia Main Street. There's some classes that you can take. So we look forward to seeing everybody there. I want to just quickly mention this about CDP. I'm not going to give anything away, but we've have some folks that have completed the program and submitting their capstones, and I think they're probably in the process of getting graded. So we may see some announcements soon about that. Hopefully that gives everybody a little motivation to keep going with that program. It's really important just because it's going to provide credentials for the work that we do in our communities. And hopefully with credentials means a couple of things. But one of them being it might get you a little bit more money if you take that to your council and make a good argument for yourself. But we appreciate everyone and look forward to seeing you in Rome.
All right. Thanks, Jason. Any questions for Jason on CDP? Right. Hearing none. Thank you, Jason. All right, well, we will go ahead and start with our program today. So we have Katie Ketchum, who's Main Street in City of Thomasville, and Anya Turpin. Anya is the Executive Director for the Visit Perry CVB. And we also have Candace Pullum, who's the Main Street Director in St. Mary's, and they're going to be talking to us today about a couple of different topics. Katie's going to be talking about merchant engagement. Anya's going to tell you about the Speak Perry program, and Candace is going to talk about engaging the youth. And we're going to start with Katie, so I'm going to let her go ahead and pull up her presentation. And what we'll do is, if you have questions for Katie, you can ask her at the end of her presentation. So we'll let you do that for all three of them, and in the end, if there are additional questions, y'all can ask either of the three. All right, Katie, it's all yours.
All right, thank you so much. I'm Katie Ketchum. I'm the Main Street Director with the City of Thomasville. And then I'd like to also introduce Laura Miller. She's on one of the screens somewhere. She is our Main Street Coordinator, and she helps and leads a lot of these efforts that we're about to discuss with merchant engagement. Click on. There it goes. All right. So our downtown Thomasville district, our downtown development district, we have roughly 385 downtown businesses, and then 132 of those are specific to shopping and dining. The other businesses encompass offices and services as well. So just kind of putting that in perspective of how many people we try to serve in our area, or try to get connected, I should say. So why does merchant engagement matter? So we're trying to build strong relationships with our downtown businesses, share timely updates and opportunities. A lot of the merchants, of course, want to be in the know. They don't want to see construction happening when they open on a Saturday or whatever that may look like. So we're trying to give them information, but then also help market them as well. So sharing content for them, but then also getting feedback from them. And then, of course, it helps strengthen the downtown when everybody is on one page. Through these efforts, we've seen increased merchant participation, stronger business relationships, and then more successful programs and events that people get excited about, our merchants get excited about, and want to support Main Street, and then in turn support our district as a whole. So the key communication channels that we use are merchant memos, our social media, text groups, block captains, which is comprised of our Main Street Advisory Board, direct business outreach, and then our meeting and network opportunities. So we'll kind of break down each of those and show you in detail what we do. So we have a merchant memo that goes out every month. That is more informative. We talk about anything that is from our merchant meetings, upcoming events, how they can sign up for those events. A lot of our programs are connected to a Facebook page because it can be ever changing. We try not to print materials in the sense of an event when it comes to who's participating, because it is ever changing. People forget, they ask if they can be added onto content. So this is a way that we can actually see how many people are interested. An example is we have a Christmas in July event coming up. And so it has all of the deals that the merchants are willing to do on that day, but then it also tells us how many people are interested. So as of now, I think we have 285 people interested, and then it shows how many people are going as well. So the merchants can see the value in this many people are interested in this event, and then it allows more participation with our merchants. And then on the left side, we have, this is our newsletter that we send out to a subscriber list of around 5,600. And it is very simple and clean. It links directly to our shopping and dining. It shows upcoming events. And then our merchants are connected to this as well. So they see how we're marketing downtown on that monthly basis. And then that merchant memo goes to around 300 merchants monthly. We also send follow-ups if there's any informational things that is time sensitive, but monthly we try to do this merchant memo with all of that encompassed into one. And then social media. So every week, this is doing the music with it. So every week we send out a This Week in Downtown Thomasville in our social media. And so it shows all of their calendar events, and then trying to promote also their businesses, but then giving people a broad spectrum of what is actually going in downtown Thomasville. In the left side of the phone, you can see we have really strived to connect our merchants through our social media. Almost 70% of our stories, or 70% of our content that's viewed is through our stories, and it's about our merchants. So we have educated our merchants to tag us in their content. We try to also like and share the content organically as well. But now that they see that they are getting more engagement, they are getting more views through tagging us, they all tag us. So they're constantly every day tagging us. So our Main Street coordinator, Laura, can easily reshare their content, and it's helped elevating them, because on our social media, we roughly have, I think, about 31,000 through Facebook, And then on Instagram, we have 16,000. So they see the value of us sharing their content, and then it allows them to get more views and more visibility. And then our text messaging thread is through Remind. It's a free service. I think each class caps off at 150, but you can easily add more classes. Right now, we only have one class, which is a roughly over 100 people in our for our merchants. So a lot of the feedback that we got from our merchants was, I don't check my email or I miss those emails. So adding more layers of communication has helped. So everything that we send out in email, and then, but also we give out notifications through Remind. So it could be anywhere from our merchant meetings, construction coming up, water interruption. We want to over communicate with them so they feel valued and they feel in the loop and know what's going on in their downtown district. So that is pretty self-explanatory with Remind. And then our boots on the ground. So this past year, we initiated through our work plan block captains. So those block captains are comprised of our board members, and they have different blocks that they are assigned to. And so they serve as the liaison between merchants and the Main Street office. We are trying to give our merchants more channels to give feedback to, so we can help provide solutions for them. So of course, with the block captains, they are other merchants or other business owners that they may feel more open with, that they can express concerns to. And then our block captains, which are our Main Street Advisory Board, come back to the board meeting and give us that feedback. We also have implemented this year through that work plan. We are going to give them business cards. So that is one of the main feedback that they had, is people are still trying to understand the value of our Main Street Advisory Board. So we're working on getting them business cards to be able to introduce themselves as Main Street, and that they're an advocate for the merchants, as well as the Main Street department is as well. And then in addition to our block captains, we are also active downtown. So we have Laura and me, and then of course y'all know April Norton. And we are weekly going out and about in our downtown area. We have downtown officers that we try to show with visibility, and then also different events like ribbon cuttings, and then just connecting with our merchants, whether we're handing out flyers or just talking to them one-on-one, getting feedback from them on how we can continually improve our communication efforts. And then our merchant meetings. So we hold 4 scheduled merchant meetings once every quarter, and we fluctuate those between an afternoon meeting and a morning meeting. So we can try to get all touch points between retail and restaurants. And as you can see, we always have a pretty good turnout on those. We give out informational pieces. We talk about upcoming events, and then it's an opportunity for them to give feedback to us and provide that back to city departments. And then of course, fellowship. A lot of the feedback that we get from the merchants is this really gave them pause to connect with other business owners, entrepreneurs, and get feedback from them, and see that a lot of people are going through the same situations, and how they can collaborate, and how we can improve downtown as a whole. And that's it. Thank you so much. Sheree, I think you're on mute still.
There was a question in the chat, Katie, thank you. For the board member business cards, what contact information did you use? Do your board members have business affiliated phone numbers, emails, etc.? Or are they giving out their personal information?
Excuse me. So what we decided to do to be more cost effective is on the back, it is blank, and they will fill out their own information. So it still looks official, but then they can add if they want to. Our contact information, as in like our info at, is on there about the Main Street Advisory Board, downtown Thomasville. But then they, as a collective, we decided for them to be able to handwrite on there what form of contact they feel comfortable with giving people.
What other questions y'all have for Katie?
Colleen,
Everybody,
Colleen has one.
yeah, I was writing mine, but I decided just to ask. Thank you for that. That was really helpful. Have you seen the merchants' confidence in sharing issues and concerns in either having your the block captains like with them or with the merchant meetings? Like, have you seen an increase? And now that you've gotten both of these pieces going, I feel like a lot of our
Yes.
merchants are scared to tell us things.
Yes, and so we try to keep an open line of communication in the sense of, we always say we can't change anything unless we know what your concerns are. And so adding those different layers and then those different channels of comfort in the sense of they may be more open to talk to another fellow merchant. I feel like our Main Street Advisory Board is very responsive in wanting to give us those that feedback, but then also now they reach out directly to Laura or me. And then our merchant meetings can get very, in the last two, they have seen that it is the opportunity to express a lot of concerns. And so it does open that platform for people to be able to discuss, and we always try to make it solution based. So it's not just a time to vent, how are we going to address something and then improve it. But yes, adding all of these different layers, especially when it comes to the email, the social media, that's how they correspond with us too, text messaging, and then in-person communication. I love that now our merchants, are ones that aren't even on the Main Street Advisory Board, that are very vocal. They now say, have you reached out to Katie? Have you reached out to Laura? They're willing to help and provide solutions. So they're being accountable to them instead of them people just venting. So it's helped a lot.
Katie, I remember one of the things you said during assessments too is now board members, they also feel more engaged and feel like in their position they have, a true job to do and are doing it, and they are your eyes and ears on the street.
Yes, it has been very valuable when it comes to having an active board. And I will say that's what I've been in this position for a year now. And what I've really tried to instill is, what can I do quickly, and show them that I can do it quickly. And so I feel like that's really helped. So when it is a bigger concern that it may involve an ordinance or something more long-term, they at least see the effort of those short-term results of, okay, I can quickly address that and get that done. And then again, it's merchants advocating for the Main Street program and being able to have that buy-in of, we're here to support and try to help.
Stephanie, you have a question?
Hey, I was just going to ask, when you were talking about merchants tagging you so you guys could share and get it out to more people, do you literally share every single thing they tag you in? Because like right now, I share everything to our stories because it would be a million things posted on our feed if we didn't. So how do you handle that?
Yeah, so we educate our merchants that it's got to fit our brand as well, especially when it comes to content that we would share as a post. So a lot of them will try to tag us in collaborative posts, and we will accept them if it fits our imagery or our messaging. We will accept it that will show up on our actual news feed or on our grid. But all of the ones that they're tagging us in is just specifically stories. And we don't always, now some merchants may tag us in 10 posts, like stories that they've done. And we just try to create a balance. If you see that when you go look at our stories, Laura is really great about, she'll probably share, I don't know, 40 stories in one day, but it has that balance of sharing all that content. But yes, so we try to focus on the stories, not so much on accepting content on the grid.
Okay, good. Thank you. I was hoping I was, doing the same thing you were. So that sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so just in the interest of time, we're going to move on to Anya. If you, Amanda, I know you had a question, if you want to save that until the end. But we'll go ahead and let Anya from Perry share her presentation.
All right, good morning. Can everyone hear me? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Awesome. I'm going to set a timer because I'm long-winded, so I want to keep myself on track. So thank you for having me. My name is Anya Turpin. I'm the Executive Director of the Perry Area Convention and Visitors Bureau, shortly named Visit Perry. Our new downtown manager, Jara Hurt, is also on the call. I think it's her first time doing this call as well as mine. So thank you for having both of us here today. I'm going to be talking about a program called We Speak Perry. This is a program that we implemented in January of 2025. Visit Perry is the driving force behind the program, but we invited our community partners, most specifically me and Alicia, our former downtown manager, really put our heads together to bring this program into fruition. So we have our downtown Perry Main Street, we have the Georgia National Fairgrounds, we have the City of Perry, and then we also have our local historical society that all collaborate on this presentation. So I do want to share, credit with this is not an original concept, so feel free to steal it from us because we stole it from someone else. I first learned about the We Speak program when I went to a training back in Kentucky many, many years ago. It originated out of Oregon. It was developed by a Chamber of Commerce in Oregon. We contacted them and said, what worked well with this program, what didn't work well. They were very open and shared, some of the learning curves that they had. And so while this program was born out of Oak Ridge's We Speak Oregon program, we adapted it. We saw areas where this will fit for Perry, this won't fit for Perry. But if you are interested in learning more about either our program or the original Oak Ridge program, I would be happy to share both the publications that we have made and then also link you back to the original Oak Ridge story so you can see multiple different platforms and see what works for your community. But I always like to give credit to Katrina. She's been great over the years in helping us to develop it for Perry. So the way that we set up We Speak Perry, this is first and foremostly a hospitality training program. Our intent as Visit Perry is to get as many hotels, retail businesses, restaurants, attractions to send their staff, specifically their frontline staff. While we want managers and owners to be well-versed, we really want the people who are working the front desk, the day-to-day operations, the ones who are integrated the most with the visitors and the community to know about the program. It's completely free. It's from 9 to noon. We do provide a light breakfast and beverages for the attendees. And we do also, after the training is over, we give them a certificate, a t-shirt, some cool little buttons, and also a publication for them to take notes in and learn more about our community. To give you kind of a very brief overview, this is how we start the program. We welcome everybody to We Speak Perry, and we give them a short story about why do we do this. And so we always start with Becky, my teammate on Visit Perry, and myself. We have heard a million times that people have checked into a hotel, they've walked into the front desk, they've walked up to the counter, said, hey, my car broke down on the interstate, I'm here for the evening. What's there to do around here since I'm in Perry? And that person at the front desk or that person at the restaurant, whoever they're talking to, could possibly respond with the word nothing. And this is what it makes us feel like when we hear that that is the response. We literally want to pull our hair out, because there could be nothing further from the truth than saying that there is nothing to do in Perry, Georgia. But you can add your town's name to that. You can add any town to that. Everyone who works in the hospitality industry, which all of you do in some capacity, has heard that nothing response. And so the purpose of We Speak Perry is to train people to combat the nothing response and equip them with the tools, the information, the resources, and the connections that they need to confidently talk about their community, answer those questions, not just with the correct and accurate information, but with the enthusiasm that you as a Main Street manager would want your restaurants, your retail shops, your attractions, your hotel lodging staff to be excited about talking about your community, and not send them up to the next town over because they have all the things to do, or send them to that chain restaurant that they can eat at home. Make sure that these people know your community, they're passionate about it, and they're not further spreading misinformation. So with this program, we always do try to let them introduce themselves as well and tell us a little bit more about what they already know about our community, so we can kind of gauge what we're doing in the room. We do have some goals and objectives. We have developed a whole program with this. I was sharing with the team before we started. Our big presentation for this has grown to about 80 slides. So condensing this down to a 10-minute presentation, this is very, very high level overview, but if anyone is interested, we would be happy to deep dive into the whole program with you. But really what we want to do is help people to understand the languages of our community. We use buzzwords that are meant to invite conversations, invite questions. We have buttons that say, I speak buzzard. And if you walk into a restaurant and someone's wearing a button that says, I speak buzzard, you're going to ask what that means. You're going to want to learn the story of the Perry Buzzard Drop and why we have buzzards hanging from our water tower. So they are all meant to encourage conversations, to invite curiosity. And we've got a whole, kind of a strategy for coming up with what those words might be in your community as well. One of the other things that we do is we really try to break down what the analogy that we use is that this is a table. Our community is a table, and on that table there are multiple legs, and every leg is important. They all play their own unique role, but they are not one and the same. It's very easy for both the visitor, the resident, even the business owners to think when they look at these logos that these are all the same. The city is the chamber is the CVB is the Georgia National Fairgrounds. The Georgia National Fairgrounds is somehow historic downtown Perry. They all get confused for one another, but we try to really drive home that all of these organizations exist with different leadership, with different financial budgets, with different funding sources. And at the end of the day, they all have different purposes and missions. And while they individually work to do their own mission, collectively, if we bring them all to the same table, they further lift up our community. But we really do try to drive home to the participants that these are very unique logos with very unique organizations. I'm sure every community in some capacity can relate to that. So we briefly, just to show you some of the slides, we really try to drive home where people can find information. This is one of the slides from the city of Perry. They're trying to make sure to drive home that people can't say, oh, I didn't know about that event, or I didn't know that this road closure was happening, because they do try to reach all those different platforms, kind of like the presentation from Thomasville was saying. You really do try to meet people on every single level. They try to drive home the stories behind things. How are events funded? How do we keep events safe? Just really trying to dump as much information on people as possible. Downtown Perry, this is one of their slides. Obviously, parking is always a hot issue. So we try to get ahead of those things and talk about parking. We talk about restrooms. We talk about shop hours. Why aren't these shops open during certain events? We try to think of all the things that people on the street hear complaints about or feedback about, and then equip them ahead of time with the appropriate answers for those, and try to coach them on confidently responding to some of those hot topics. This is one of our slides. We really do try to drive home, especially with the misconception of a lot of our events being funded by resident taxes. A lot of people will say, well, why are my taxes paying for Food Truck Friday? They're not. They're paid by hotel motel tax for the most part, or, fundraising by Main Street. So we really do try to dispel a lot of those misconceptions of our community through this program. And I think that it has proven to be very successful. We also try to drive home where people can find information about events, comprehensive calendars. If a business is there and they are hosting an event, we really try to drive home the importance of make a Facebook event for your event. Don't just put out a poster, in your wall and hope that people will come. Take these different steps and help us to share your story as well. This is a couple of photos from our We Speak program. So you can see up in the top left corner, this was one of the groups that we had. This was a private group that we hosted with one of our local chambers of commerce. It was their leadership program that came through, and we certified about 30 people in that course. We, on the top right corner, you can see some of our resources. So we do have a booklet that we've made that has information from each of the presenters. We provide everyone with a certified local linguist certificate. And then we have these fun buttons that have different buzzwords. I speak Dogwood, I speak theater, I speak Walikta, which is one of our trails in town. We do also provide a t-shirt, and on the back of that t-shirt is a list of all of the buzzwords. And then on the bottom left, we did actually win an award for this program this year through the Georgia Association of CVBs. And then an example of some of the light refreshments. We always do try to make sure that it is a local business that we are working with to purchase that breakfast from. And I think I'm at 9.5 minutes. So if I missed anything, I'd be happy to take any questions. But again, if you would like to see a further deep dive, see a PDF of some of our publications, I would be happy to do all the deep diving offline because it is a very extensive program. But thank you for the opportunity to provide a high-level overview of We Speak Perry.
Anya, one of the things that I appreciated was that y'all were willing to sort of shorten the training for some of the employees at, say, local hotels and that kind of thing. Can you speak a little bit to that the hotels weren't willing to let their staff people go for like the full day, but they might be willing to let you come for a shorter amount to train their employees?
Yeah, so initially when we kicked this off in January of 25, we just kind of opened it to, it was a Saturday morning. We thought that would be the best way to go. And we just opened it up, and we probably had about 25 people in that first class, and it was a mixture. It was a lot of retirees, local volunteers, a lot of the faces that we already knew and had relationships with, which is great. We will never turn anyone away from this program. If any of you all want to come take this program, we have had people from other communities come and say, hey, I want to come, and I'm strictly coming just to see if this program works for my community, and that's perfectly fine. But at the end of the day, this is meant to train hospitality staff, especially those frontline workers. And what we learned very quickly was a Saturday morning is probably the absolute worst time we could have picked for those people, because typically your businesses, your hotels, your restaurants, retail shops, Saturday during the morning is going to be one of those busier times. So we've looked at changing it to perhaps a Monday when a lot of our retail shops are closed, or, maybe over a lunch instead of a breakfast. So we always want to be open to adapting to what the consumer needs, because at the end of the day, this is a service to them. And we've talked about doing more private things. So that one that we did for the Robbins leadership, if they can have a group large enough to justify, obviously we can't do a private group for 1 or 2 people, but if they can give us a good enough size, we are happy to bring this program on site to them. We have discussed videotaping the program and allowing people to be able to watch it virtually. We haven't taken that action yet, just because we do still strongly believe in the power of face-to-face, answering questions, and of course, information changes. If we had recorded this, we've got a new downtown manager, we would need to redo all of that. So it's not something that we are saying a hard no to, but we want to definitely make sure that if we do decide to go that way, that it's strategic, but definitely being open to accommodating the groups that need, hey, we're closed on this day, can we do it that day? Or that's our busiest time, can you look at a different time? Being adaptable to what works for your community, shortening it to meet, a specific time criteria. Obviously, it's hard to get all of that information out, but again, just be willing to adapt it. This program that we do in Visit Perry may or may not work specifically for your community, but I'm sure that every community could take bits and pieces of it and adapt it to what works for you.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, Anya. And again, in the interest of time, we're going to go ahead and let Candace pull up her presentation.
Everybody see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm Candace Pullum. I am the Main Street Manager and DDA Director for the City of St. Mary's. And we have what we realized was that the people that come to our meetings don't depict our community. So the people's that voices were getting heard the loudest to our council weren't a true representation of what our community is made of. So we decided to start a real push with the help of UGA and our branding study to get other people engaged in community involvement. And it spun off into a pet project of mine, which was the Junior Main Street Board. And it was completely selfish because I have an 18-year-old son and we are a small community. And to the youth, we're sandwiched between two places that are larger cities, the city of Brunswick and the city of Jacksonville, and they always want to go somewhere else. But I always tell them there's so much to do here, and how can we get you to want to be here more? So that's how this started, and we formed our Junior Main Street Board. So there are some criterias to be on the Junior Main Street Board. This is our very first year. I did not create this idea myself. The city of Milledgeville, Carly had done this prior multiple years back, and she, gave me a real blueprint, some do's and don'ts, what worked for them. So we came in a pretty good spot to kind of know how to approach them. And we reached out to all of the clubs and their leadership at our high school. We reached out to the college. We reached out to all of our churches, any group that had a youth presence. We reached out to them and asked them to nominate people or kids that would be interested in this or would just be a good voice for us. So we got probably 50 applicants and we narrowed it down to 20. And you didn't have to be from St. Mary's. That was the common misconception because, general boards, you have to be from that city. We just accepted anyone from Camden County. So it helped. We only have one high school. So, just having to be real positive, being open to speaking your mind, but being respectful and things like that. And they had to volunteer. That was our biggest thing this year, is getting them involved, because I truly believe that if they would just be involved in some of the things that go on downtown, they would be more interested and they would take ownership in it. And that's basically what happened. So our very first meeting, we kind of went over what my expectation of them would be. They met our DDA board / Main Street Board, and they went over what their roles were and how they would be like an extension of them. We created a mission, and it was really centered on, young people, like serving and leading and becoming leaders in our community, specifically downtown St. Mary's. So, and then we also came up with a vision. And that was, to create a downtown St. Mary's where young people are connected, involved, and inspired to help and shape a vibrant future for our community. And what happened was we asked them to be involved with our events and do a walking tour of our downtown. And we led all of this. And we got so much feedback that was so different than anything anybody stands up at our council meeting and says, or shows up to our meetings and say. So what happened was I said, well, this is how you depict change. You have to bring it forward. You have to get a group of people together. You have to do it in a positive way. So we did some planner projects, because one of the largest things that they told us was our city was too brown and green. We didn't have enough flowers. And I mean, honestly, it was just one of those things that it's easier that way because we have our public works that takes care of it. But we put some planner projects in place and they helped with that. We got all of those plants from our FFA at the high school. So they were grown by our youth and planted by our youth. And you can see in this picture, we have a monthly downtown event, and this is what our downtown events look like now. So our youth engagement for our downtown events from when we started this, which we started these regular events June of last year, and June of this year, our age demographic, even for younger families from the age of 18 to 25, increased 80%. So that's who you see out there, like playing on the playground downtown, enjoying the music downtown, eating in our restaurants. We really do cater to them now because they told us, like, we like this kind of food truck, we want this kind of music, we want to have a dance party, like things like that. So that's really helped. We're just targeting what they want. And we did a brief overview of what Main Street was so they can kind of see what they're doing actually does fit in all of the things that make up Main Street and make, downtown successful. This is some pictures of how our volunteerism just went through the roof. So we formed a basketball tournament. We just did the first one in June because we contacted our local rec department and we found out that basketball was the largest sport that youth enrolls in, that they have so many that enroll in it that they don't have enough coaches, so they end up turning people away. So we did a free tournament right in our downtown. We closed down one of the streets, brought in some basketball goals, and they did, like, I don't speak basketball, so like a 2v2, and it was like elimination, and they created brackets. It was super cool. So these kids won. There's a group of them playing. We really did focus on elementary and middle school for that. We used some of our Main Street board members to be like refs and things like that. So it was super fun because they kind of coached on the sidelines and things like that. Another great thing is we talked about the service groups in our community and how those service groups what age group depicts those service groups in our community. And in our community, it's a much older age group. So we gave them opportunities to volunteer. We made them aware that there's opportunities to serve those service groups in elementary school, middle school, high school, and then as an adult. And so Key Club is one of them. They put on 2 of our largest festivals in the city as a partner, and we had a ton of our youth of all ages engage in that, and we were thankful. We have some younger performers. Some of those were friends of people on our Junior Main Street board. Just really anything. This top picture here is 3 ladies that we kind of pushed them to go in somewhere they'd never been. That's an antique mall, not something that generally 16, 17-year-old girls want to go in. But they created a scavenger hunt inside that antique mall, and they're made up of all different kind of vendors. And our store owner told me, she was like, that was one of our most successful events. So now she's recreated that 3 or 4 different times. So, I mean, just showing them that they have good ideas, they can be implemented. And if you like it, come tell somebody and like make your voice heard. So we utilized our Main Street group to do golf cart shuttles because we have a very long street that runs down our downtown, and it's hot here most of the time. So we had golf cart shuttles, and they were able to shuttle people around. I'm enjoying a ride because it was hot. But then we had business mentors. So you can see up here in the Pet Sense photo, that's a Junior Main Street board member, 2 of them actually. And they were mentored by this particular business because they had that interest. And so they showed up to one of our events and helped volunteer. Again, it's bringing younger groups out as well. So we get lots of people asking us, hey, can my, softball team come down and sell tickets to try and raise money or take donations and things like that. So of course we say yes to that. And then we did a kids entrepreneur fair, and it was a huge success. The things that they sold were from really elaborate, like these crochet stuffed animals, to little bracelets that, you know, like a 6-year-old would make. But the kids loved it. They did so well. It was a success to them, so it was a success to me. And we gave them all shirts, and they really loved it. We have a huge event, Christmas in the Park, and we always need people to dress up. So that was another thing that they were kind of like tasked with. You come up, you dress up as like all of these different Christmas characters, face paint. They loved it. Lots of them have lived here forever and never been to a Christmas in the Park, and it's a completely free event that has a huge turnout. So that was pretty shocking to me. We have a couple of our other business mentors here in the picture. Our bicycle shop owner, he did some like repair, and they did like a little bicycle derby that some of the kids help orchestrate. We have a coffee shop that she actually mentored several. We had a meeting there, and she probably employs 10 employees, and like 5 of them are from our Junior Main Street board, because she happened to be hiring at the same time that we had our meeting there, and they found out about it. They're a real young business owner, so that was kind of cool. And you can really see in their social media and stuff how those young people are influencing it, and it's super cool. We have a local photographer that does 99% of all of our photography, and he is a business mentor. He has some kids from the high school come out and take all of our pictures for events. It's pretty cool. Another thing that they wanted was the ability to have music downtown anytime they wanted it. It was a great idea. We painted a piano, we put it in front of the Submarine Museum, but Saltwater did not, and all of that didn't do it well. So we got to regroup and come back to that. But we did it. Just again, all of their volunteering, couldn't do it without them. It really did make a difference. And then this is our future project. So we have a skate park in the middle of our town. And when we did some of our walking tour, we really pushed them to like think outside the box. And I was actually shocked to find out that this dilapidated skate park is one of our most utilized things by our youth downtown, and it looks hideous. So we're trying to find some funding. We're going to do some fundraising, and hopefully by this time next year, she will be a completely different look. And we've got some big picture, like this is what we would want it to look like. And then we have like, even if we just put paint on it, it can make a huge difference. So, and this is really what we hoped to gain from this, is that, it's an investment in both our downtown and our next generation of community leaders. Because like I said, a lot of the people that show up at our meetings and have their voices heard do not depict what our community is made of. So, and I think what we found out at the end is that they didn't realize that in government, it takes so long to do things. And I was like, yes, it does. That's why when you say, hey, we need this, it could be 6 months or a year because of like all the things you have to go through. So they learn about our different departments and, local government. It was pretty cool.
Thank you, Candace.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that. Does anybody have any other questions for either Candace or Anya or Katie? Oh, Colleen asked Candace if you could put your application for your youth council and any other information in the chat, if you're
Mhm.
willing to share that.
Mhm.
And she also had a question: who are the adults that mentor the students? Are those all business owners?
So we have a mix of business owners and board members, and then our chamber president. So we just kind of put out to the community who would like to be a mentor. And this year we didn't have quite as many as we had hoped, but I know next year it's just going to be a different momentum. So, and then the thing I did forget to add is that one of the big draws to this is that at the end of this cohort, if you will, because they ended in June when school ends and it starts in August when school starts, is you get a letter of recommendation from myself and the mayor. So they, really love that for a college application.
Yeah, yeah. Dion asked, will we have access to the presentations? And yes, the recording of this will be on our YouTube page. And I know we're nearing the end of our time, so I understand if you need to get off, but if folks have more questions, Candace, Anya, Katie, are y'all willing to stay on a little bit longer?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
What other questions? Also, Jan, do you have an announcement?
I do, as a matter of fact. I'm so thankful that you're giving me that opportunity. I am the new executive director of the Main Street in Madison, Indiana. Madison, Indiana's Main Street is one of the 3 pilot programs for Main Street America, and they're the only ones still in existence. So they have been a Main Street since 1979, and it is a magical little community that I'm ecstatic to get to go. I'm actually from Indiana and I've been in Georgia since '99. So going back to Indiana is a dream, and having a job, going back with a job is even a bigger dream. So.
All right. Well, you will sure be missed, Jan, but I'm excited about your opportunity and look forward to seeing you at national conferences and that kind of thing. So don't be a stranger.
I will not. Thank you. I've enjoyed it a lot.
Also wanted to let y'all know that I think everybody knows that Alicia left Perry for another job, but we do have Jara Hurt on the call. She's joining us. So she just started this past week. So welcome aboard, Jara. We're glad to have you. Looking forward to meeting you in person. And
Thank you
Dion,
so
did you
much.
have
It's been all of 7 days, but we're getting there. But thank you.
Dion, did you have a question? I thought your hand was raised.
Yeah, I did. I just had one quick question. Going back to the block captains, because we have started, we're considered implementing that, and we have one so far within our district. But I was wondering if you set up, like, do they have a term contract? Like, how do you select them, and what the term, do they volunteer for them, or are these just businesses that you have built rapport with and already they've expressed that they want to do more, and then you put them in position, and then is it indefinite until they say they don't want to do it anymore, or are you asking them, for this next year, for 2026 or 2027, can you be the block captain?
So currently our block captains are serving on our Main Street Advisory Board. So they're really already vested into the program, and they're being voluntold to do it. So they all have openly accepted that added responsibility. And I think that they see the value in it, almost like a neighborhood of, getting the feedback from their specific block, and then of course providing that feedback to us, and then the accountability component as well. So yes, it is all of our board members that are currently serving as block captains.
Okay, and I think our approach is a little different in that we're selecting block captains that are business owners on each block. So we're taking like one business owner from this section, one, because we felt like it would be effective because they're neighbors, and so some of the businesses that I don't directly engage with, or all the time, because sometimes the owners themselves are not there, depending on the type of business, but their neighbor, they will see them all the time and they trust them a little bit more. So we're trying to select business owners, and then also to engage the business owners to kind of turn advocate, you know what I mean, to kind of solve some of their own issues. And so we haven't worked it all out. Like I said, we only have one so far, but I was just wondering, in terms of putting together, some type of package, or, what it would mean for them, buy-in, for them.
Yeah, I can share the purpose statement of block captains and how we structure them. And I can share that, that Ellen and Sheree can send out. And then, most of our Main Street Advisory Board are comprised of merchants and a lot of people that are already affiliated with our downtown district. So we have strategically placed them to follow the similar format like you're doing. So it might be a block that they own, a business there, or they may be a property owner, or somehow they're connected to that area.
Okay. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for our speakers? All right. Well, thank y'all so much for joining us. Katie, Anya, and Candace, we really appreciate y'all sharing the cool stuff that's going on in your downtown and y'all's creativity with other folks, and being willing to share your presentation and answer questions and share documents. We really do appreciate y'all being willing to do that. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
hope everybody has a good rest of the week, good weekend, and we'll see you next month.
Good morning.